Yeah, so there are a lot of approaches to the path, meditation, mindfulness that talk about silencing the mind. Um, I personally don't feel that that's the goal at all. Like I mentioned in the beginning, when we meditated, just to allow and observe. It's just to come into a state of unconditional acceptance and observing, which is, of course, the witness state of consciousness. So the mind can talk all it wants. Um, we may have periods where our mind is quiet and it's peaceful, for sure. I've had some periods where the mind was quiet for months, like very quiet. But then it would start up again, and I started wondering, "Oh, why is it starting up again?" So I did some investigation, which is what I always do. Whenever I have these questions, I start investigating and looking into the direct experiences of some of the greats, mystics, and masters. So I did some investigation, and I came across a question that somebody had posed to Ramana. Ramana is like, for many of us, I think you could say he's like the gold standard he's a great saint, right? So somebody asked Ramana, do you have any thoughts? And his answer was usually no. Usually no. I think he goes on to say, if I'm talking with somebody, I may have thoughts. If I'm reading something, I may have thoughts about what I'm reading, but usually there are no thoughts. So I thought, okay, usually no. So even Ramana has thoughts from time to time. So thoughts are okay. Not a problem. There's a guy I'll type his name in the chat, Gary Weber. Interesting guy. I don't think he talks about Kundalini, but he's in his awakening process, he's come to a point where he no longer has what he refers to as self-referential thoughts. So the thoughts that bring up suffering, me, my, I, this is my life, my house burned down, or you did this to me, doesn't have those thoughts that are from the ego. And so he's a bit of an outlier because he speaks about how those thoughts stopped arising for him. However, he goes on to say that I think he's like diabetic or he's got some condition like that. He says if my blood sugar kind of goes a little high, the thoughts start up again. The self-referential thoughts start up again. So I thought, okay, so even Gary Weber, who says self-referential thoughts ceased for him, even there are still moments where even he will have thoughts come up again because of his blood sugar level or whatever it is. I think he says that some Zen masters said, whoa, you don't have thoughts. That's interesting. Not everybody who attains, the degree of enlightenment that you need to be considered a Zen master will even have the thoughts cease. So I looked around, like I said, I did this investigation. I came to the conclusion, thoughts are not a problem. You can be, very evolved, very realized, and still have thoughts. The aim isn't to silence the mind forever and completely. That's why I say just allow and observe. Allow and observe.